G'day. Today I'm going to talk about one of the biggest companies in the world, and that is Apple. Now, the reason why I'm going to discuss a bit about Apple is probably some of these companies in the technology game really do interest me, and I like to research and find out what they're doing. Obviously, as we know, they've Apple Macs, and first to bring out the iPods. Now, it's probably a side note on MP3 players and music players. They were far from the first to bring out the first MP3 player. And I can remember that in the past, I'd buy an initial one because they're nice and small and handy, and I used to like to go running. So you'd load up your music, you'd open up your window with the MP3 on the computer, and incumbently drag things across. What Apple did is obviously provided a very sleek looking iPod, but they also introduced obviously Apple iTunes, which means you could seamlessly load your obviously phone these days, but your MP3 player, and create playlists and arrange things really economically and cleverly and simply within Apple iTunes. So what Apple did, and this has been a lot of research on this, is they helped provided the whole product. They provided the hardware that you need to listen to, but they also provided the link between the music, music collections, and how you got it onto your devices. So that was them providing a whole solution. Now, what's been clever with Apple over the years, they've done a huge amount of things right, although they don't have a huge product suite, is all about that whole product theory, where I've been a long time Apple iPhone user, like millions of other people, but as I've bought a movie or I've bought music, being a keen music lover, it's on the device. When I've bought my iPads, magically they go across from the iPhone across to the iPad. Then at home, that you've got Apple TV. Somehow all that information seems to go between all the different devices. So what's remarkable about it, and the cleverness of the devices, is that it just seems to work. It just works together beautifully. And I think that was a quote from Steve Jobs, where someone said, "Oh, look, we'll need to put together a manual for these devices, whether it's the iPhone or iPad." And I think that's where he sent them away, saying, if we need a manual, then it's not what we're after. You've got it wrong. And that's the incredible thing. It's these products have gone through all the generations, where people in their 70s and 80s have iPads, and they do their web browsing. And I even helped my parents do a transaction a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, they didn't really need much guidance. They're using it themselves, completing transactions. So these are some of the trends that are happening. From an investment side point, at the moment, Apple's trading on a PE ratio of 10.9. So that's not expensive. The Aussie market has an average PE of sort of 16 to 17. Our banks, our big four banks, are trading on, say, that 13, 14. This is just over 10 or just under 11. So that's not expensive. The other note from an investment point of view, that I know that because I'm just tied in with all my content, I'm very unlikely to leave. And when I see that the schools, teachers and students, it's part of their resources, they need Apple iPads, they're using their Apple iPhones as calculators. And when I look across my home and see the children with Apple iPads, and the older kids iPhones, and the MacBooks and the iPad Mac Airs that again they're encouraging at school, they're really starting to get a captive audience. So we're one household with quite a few Apple products. I'm sure we're not the only one. So I think once they get customers, I think it's going to be very hard for me to leave, because I've spent a certain amount of resources on content. The other side to it is the pricing. It's always been you're paying a premium for these devices when compared to some Samsung or obviously they've got high price stuff, but they had a different range. These days we're seeing that Apple have brought out very much high-end Apple iPhones, but now there's the 5C, which has got a plastic cover that's colour, and that's at a lower end. So they're now covering off a lot of the price points from absolute high end to a lower end, making it more affordable. they're also bringing out options where you can upgrade your phone each and every year, and Apple will take back the old stock and control that, and you might see on the Apple website that you can now purchase refurbished items such as the MacBook Airs and soon to be, and you probably already can, Apple iPhones. So all of a sudden they're controlling all the stock at different price points, which brings more people to the market, gets them into this cycle that Robert Gowdy's in, where I've bought that many resources and it's just good to use and they work seamlessly somehow. That's the cleverness of the company and why they've been so successful. So why it's one of the biggest companies in the world. It's worth over 500 billion. We still think it's a brilliant business, and there's definitely more growth to come potentially over the next 5, 10 and 20 years, which all going well, will continue to do so. Thanks for listening. Give it a thumbs up if you like it. Please go down into the description area at the bottom here and you can check out some resources there, and there's a link to our website. Please go there, and thanks for listening.